We're going to now move into the next domain of the SAT, which is problem solving and data analysis, beginning with ratios, rates, proportions, and unit conversions. So some quick vocabulary of what is a ratio. A ratio is just a comparison of two quantities. The ratio of A to B can be expressed as either A colon B or as a fraction. This is where we get the term rational number from. It's a number that can be posed as a ratio. Proportion is when we set two ratios equal to each other, the equality of two ratios. A rate is when the units that we are comparing are different, such as miles per hour. And then the extension of that, we also have something called a unit rate. A unit rate. And that's where we have a denominator of 1 within our rate. So a complementary ratio, there are two common types. We have a part-to-part relationship or a part-to-whole. So example, we're making lemonade. Well, in order to make lemonade, we have to mix lemon juice and sugar. These are both parts of the lemonade mixture as a whole, so it is a part-to-part ratio, comparing the amounts of two ingredients. Now, when we look at the amount of lemon juice in the entire mixture of lemonade, this is considered a part-to-whole, because the lemon juice is the part, but the lemonade itself comprises the whole. We are looking at the amount of one ingredient to the sum of all the ingredients. So let's take a look at a couple examples. A high school randomly selected 50 students to take a survey about extending their lunch period. Of the students selected, 14 were freshmen, 13 were sophomores. Identify each of the following ratios as a part-to-part or a part-to-whole, and then describe the ratio. Simplify any ratios that we can. So 14 to 13. Well, 14 to 13 represents the freshmen and the sophomores. So it is a part of the student body were freshmen, and part of the student body were sophomores. So 14 to 13 represents the number of freshmen compared to sophomores. Next one is 13 to 50. Well, again, 13 is the number of sophomores, and 50 is all of the students. So that is a part-to-whole relationship. That is the number of sophomores compared to all students. 14 to 50, again, will be another part-to-whole. This time we're representing the number of freshmen compared to all students. Now this is the only ratio that can be simplified because 14 and 50 have a common factor of 2, so we can reduce it to 7 to 25. Okay, if we divided those by a common factor, so we can actually simplify ratios in the same way that we simplify fractions. A bag is filled with red and blue marbles, of which there are a total of 54. A third of the marbles are blue. And so here, we weren't told how many marbles were blue, but we were given the ratio of blue marbles to the total. We were given the ratio of blue marbles to total out of the simplified ratio. So the ratio of blue to total marbles is going to be 1 to 3. 1 out of every 3. The ratio of red marbles, well, if 1 out of every 3 is blue, then the other 2 out of the 3 have to be red. The ratio of red marbles to blue, well, we've seen in the previous one, we have 2 red marbles for every 1 blue marble. So think about it. If we have out of 3 marbles, we'll color it in black, 1, 2, 3, one of those is blue. And since one of them is blue, then the other 2 have to be red. So we can see the comparison of those ratios. how many red marbles are in the bag? Well, now we have to think about how we can compare ratios, and we'll look at these more and deal more detail with proportions. But let's look at the comparison that we're going to use, 2 to 3. 2 red marbles for every 3 marbles total. And if we know that we have a total of 54 marbles in the bag, we need to figure out, well, how many of those are red? So we can look at a relationship and say, well, if it's 3 marbles is the whole compared to 54, well, how can we get from 3 to 54 multiplicatively? We could multiply by 18. That means if we go ahead and take 2 and also multiply it by 18, we get the total number of red marbles, which is 36 red marbles.